Okay, we have basketball games to react to. We got some preseason games. We've already seen some debuts. I'm going to start with Porzingis and Drew on the Celtics. We'll talk about Chris Paul and the Warriors, Bradley Beal with the Suns, the Raptors' new offense. I will probably end up doing more than one of these. Hopefully Wemby plays tonight. So anyway, with Porzingis, Drew, and the Celtics, I mean, look, we saw Porzingis make a three. We saw him catch an alley-oop off of Derek White, bald Derek White pick and roll. And we all know Porzingis can do that. There were three plays that for whatever reason stuck out the most to me. One was Porzingis top of the key, Jalen cuts from the wing. Porzingis throws it to him. That's an easy dunk for Jalen. Great. Funny enough, all these involve Porzingis and Jalen. And then the other two were basically the same play, but on opposite sides of the floor, where Porzingis would set a down screen for Jalen off the ball, like in the corner. And one time, it resulted in Jalen throwing it back to Porzingis, who then took like one dribble in and got like a 12-foot jumper, the signature Porzingis shot, at least for me a lot of the time. And then the other one was Jalen got the ball around the Porzingis screen on the other side of the floor, and then he was able to like get inside and draw a foul. And that's cool because, it's variety in your offense, of course, but also forcing the defense to guard two of your best guys, that's great. And also, if I'm using English correctly, anything that allows Jalen to get buckets that don't ask him to be like a pick and roll guy up top, like that's good. Because obviously Jalen's handle, it's shaky. It's not as bad as people said it was in the summer, but it can certainly be shaky at times. So, okay, great. As far as Porzingis' rim protection, he definitely had a number of good contests at the rim. He also had a couple where like Maxey was able to get by him, and Maxey looked kind of fantastic in that game. If I'm not remembering this right, then my bad, but it felt like Porzingis was guarding the 5 a lot of the time, and then Horford was the one guarding the 4. And, we did see Drew start off the bench. I'm going to guess that's not what it's going to be in the regular season. I'm just guessing based on Al's age. As I've already said, he'll come off the bench. But the double big lineup is definitely really exciting, and I do think if Horford was like 4 years younger, I think that would be the starting lineup, and then Derek White would come off the bench, but age, minutes, all that stuff. We do need to talk about these Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown post-ups, because that was a bit of a thing, and we did see Tatum getting his bully ball on a little bit. The general idea of post-ups for Tatum, I remember when Udoka first took over, there was a bit of that, where he would have Tatum or Jaylen posting up like along the baselines. And I felt like it wasn't very good offense, and then they eventually shifted to more pick and roll stuff. But this time around, Tatum, he's put on more weight. Obviously, him and Jaylen are just better than they were, at the beginning of a couple years ago. For what it's worth, Tatum's post-up numbers last year were pretty damn good. He didn't do it a whole lot, but they were good. And I do think because of the spacing that they can get with Porzingis or Horford, because they both can shoot, of course, it allows those guys to be the entry passers, which can just help spacing-wise. And to me, if you can just get them switched onto smaller guys, setting screens on the ball, whatever, for like Drew or Derek White, and then you go into the post-ups, then yeah, I think that's definitely good offense, or it has the more potential to be at least. We'll have to see, what the advanced stats say if they stick to it like that, of course. So yeah, as for Drew, he missed a bunch of shots. It's the first preseason game. I'm not going to get too mad at him. On the flip side, Payton Pritchard went crazy. Kelly Oubre, we'll see with Oubre. I haven't really talked about the Oubre Sixers thing. The thing with Oubre is like, yeah, he's put up some points in his career, but it's typically been on like not great efficiency, and also he's not really a playmaker. So Philly just probably wants him to be an athletic 3-and-D guy. We will see if Oubre honors their request, and that's about it, really. Also, Danny Green got minutes. Shout out to Danny Green. Okay, let's go on to Chris Paul's debut with the Warriors. He did not play a lot of minutes, but I thought he was very encouraging. Is the Kevon Looney-Chris Paul two-man game going to be like a force that doesn't happen a million times a game, but when it does, it's really good? Because we saw an empty corner pick and roll between those two that resulted in Chris's signature pull-up jumper on the baseline. I think that one was over Taurean Prince. I might be wrong there. Another time where he drew a foul on Taurean Prince when he rejected the screen from the same spot. Empty corner, pick and roll, handoff action. I don't remember exactly. The very first play of the game, or first half-court set for them, whatever, Steph brings it up, throws it to Chris on the wing, sets a screen for him. Looney then sets a screen for Chris as well. Then he drives and kicks it to Clay, who missed the three, but for the first play of the game, I think you could tell, like, oh, okay, this is how they're thinking with Chris in this offense. We had Steph and Chris run a pick and roll, which was basically Steph running a pick and pop or a ghost screen, however you want to call it. Steph got one of his threes there. CP3 had a really good assist to Steph in transition. He had one time where Clay was trying to relocate and CP3 threw it to him, and you could tell Clay was like kind of surprised to get it. He's not used to getting it in that spot. He looked like a good fit, man. And oh yeah, he had the lob to Looney as well, which I think was also another one of those like Steph screen for CP3 plays. So if the Warriors are already thinking like that, then yeah, I mean, the big question with Chris is mostly, can he just hold up throughout the whole season, But you think on the Warriors, less minutes, still a lot of minutes, but probably a little less than it's been for him. They're probably a little more willing to give him some days off here and there, back-to-backs, whatever. So we'll see. I mean, they're hoping he can be there, later in the season. For what it's worth, I thought he was moving okay, like running across screens and stuff on defense, so there's that. As for the Lakers, honestly, the only thing that I was looking for was to see if AD and Christian would play together at all, and they did. There was some minutes there, and okay, I don't know. I didn't have any big questions with the Lakers going into this game, to be honest. They're going to be really good, and that's that. Also, Dario Saric had one really nice pass to Kuminga when he was in the paint that I was like, ooh, that's nice. They'll definitely get more of that from Saric. Okay, let's go to the Suns and the Pistons. So the Suns, in the first half, made basically every jump shot they could possibly attempt between Beal, Booker, and KD, as you would expect with these three. And honestly, the only question I had for them as far as those three was there going to be just enough variety with their offense in terms of like just enough off-ball sets or whatever? And I do think there was. I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of ISOs and pick and rolls with these three, and that's fine. But, you had a couple plays where like Devin Booker's the second screener as Nurkic is screening for KD or Beal or whatever. One time where KD screened for, I think it was Booker in like a double screen action. The occasional Nurkic handoff action or KD cutting backdoor as Nurkic acts like he's going to run a handoff action with KD, but then KD just cuts. So like, okay, enough extra little stuff in there I think is fine. I've already said my piece about the Ayton trade, but okay, this is what they have. And sure, like Nurkic does have a bit of that, like, let me run a random handoff action DNA in him. I mean, he's a good screen setter. The big question is if he can stay healthy and where he's at defensively at this point. Vogel mostly had him in drop. I should also mention that Grayson Allen is a good rotation player. I feel like I haven't given him enough credit in the trade. Like, Grayson Allen can make shots, and I mean, we'll see in the playoffs, but he can definitely have a good rotation spot for the Suns. And the big three creating shots for him as well as for Nasir Little, I think, again, they got good rotation pieces with the Ayton trade. Okogie was the other starter who was guarding Cade, and I guess this can flip us over to the Pistons now. So I thought Okogie was doing a good job pressuring Cade around screens. Cade overall still looked pretty under control. He did miss a couple of pull-up twos, and okay, he's been gone for, nearly a year at this point. Cade did have some nice bounce passes in the pick and roll to like Duren or Isaiah Stewart. Bagley was getting some buckets in the second half. Shout out to him. Wiseman, he played in the game, so that's cool. Really, my biggest takeaway with the Pistons was Asar's energy, activity, whatever you want to say. So off rip, Monty had him guarding Devin Booker, which that's a bit of a conversation. Do we want Asar guarding star players off rip? I don't know, but I guess in preseason you can try it out. I mean, to be clear, I think Asar's defensive potential is very high. And also the Suns have 3 stars in their starting lineup, so you got to guard somebody. And hey man, Asar was definitely up for the challenge. I mean, he was pressuring Booker, he was picking him up around half court, and okay, Book made some shots over him. He was also able to muscle him a couple times where Asar thought he was going to get the push-off foul, but Booker's been in the league a long time. He knows what he can get away with, right? And okay, that's normal rookie stuff. You got to figure that out. He also did have one possession where he locked up Book pretty hard and then forced a turnover out of him. And then Asar, on offense, man, he's always looking to do something. So he's looking to cut, he's looking to crash the offensive boards, he's looking to just kind of linger around the basket for something. I mean, the one play that stuck out to me was random half-court set, Jaden Ivey had the ball, and Asar just randomly cut, and Ivey didn't throw him the ball because either he thought the pass wasn't good enough or he saw him a second too late, whatever, but he's just not looking to stand in the corner doing nothing. He's looking to move on offense. And not just in the sense of cutting, but also like, if the ball ends up in his hand, like he'll look to, hey, Isaiah Stewart, come over here, let's run a screen and make something happen, or he's not scared of going inside. He had like some great wraparound passes to bigs and stuff. Like I really did like a lot of the things Asar did in this game. So yeah, now we can go to the Raptors' new looking offense. We can also talk about Vezenkov a little bit in the Kings game. So the Raptors, they definitely had some more just random off-ball stuff. I think Darko used the name 0.5 offense recently to describe what he wants to do, like 0.5 seconds to make a decision. I liked Scotty Barnes screening for Dennis Schroeder and then getting, I think it was De'Aaron Fox on him so he could immediately go into bully ball. It felt like if there was ever a time when a play kind of died, the default would be throw it to Pirtle along the free throw line and then somebody go and get a handoff action from him. And it felt like Siakam was able to score a couple times off of that. Pirtle was also screening off ball for Siakam a few times as well. There were a couple of plays where like Siakam flips it to Schroeder, then he immediately runs like across the top of the key, and then Pirtle's screening for him off ball there, and then he might be able to get a cut on or whatever. There was just a lot of stuff going on. It was the best way I could put it. I mean, the first play of the game was like double down screen or stagger screen, whatever you want to call it, for Scotty. Nothing's there. So then he flips it to Pirtle, and then Schroeder screens for Scotty off ball to get a cut. Nothing there. So then Pirtle throws it back to Schroeder. They run a pick and roll. Just a lot of things happened, and it was kind of encouraging. Now, the one thing with all this is I do think teams are still going to collapse the floor against the Raptors, and they're going to dare them to beat them from outside. I think it's safe to say that Gary Trent is probably going to be a sixth man of the year candidate because, I mean, the starting five, I think it's pretty much locked in. It's Schroeder, OG, Siakam, Pirtle, and Scotty, right? So game one of the Rajakovic offense definitely looks a little different, as Raptor fans were losing their minds for Grady Dick to finally get some minutes, and his pull-up two that he made basically brought the house down. So, okay. Vezenkov for the Kings, he did not get minutes until a little later into the game. Very first play, he gets a rebound, throws it to, I don't remember who it was, and then he immediately sets a screen on the ball, then he cuts and gets like a little scoop shot that doesn't go in. Later on, he had a backdoor cut. He had like a super deep three that went in. Like, I got enough of Vezenkov to be like, oh yeah, the Kings are going to allow him to be him and move and just be involved in the offense in random ways. The biggest thing is I want to see him with the best guys, you know? Let's see. Do I have anything else? I have not been able to watch Pacers-Grizzlies yet, so that's my bad. I know Mathurin had like 18 points, and I want to see how he did it. I will say that from what I have seen from the Wolves-Mavs games, I have not seen both of them, but I've seen stretches. I was mostly just paying attention to Derek Lively and how he looked. Just like Summer League, thought the rim protection looked good. And on offense, I really wanted to see if his screen setting had improved. And again, I have not seen every single minute of the first two games he played, but what I have seen, which was mostly the second game, he was connecting more on his screens, so that's a good sign. As far as Grant Williams, he set a screen for Luka, and I was like, yep, I've seen enough. I know everything Grant can do for them, and he screened for Luka. Great. Love to see it.